the month of September. The first topic we have is the restructuring of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry has released the Department of Commerce restructuring dossier. The purpose is that it wants to prepare India to become a key global player in world trade. Now, there are 5 major pillars of these reforms. That is to increase India's share in global trade, assuming the leadership role in multilateral organizations, democratization of trade, creating 100 Indian brands as global champions, setting up of economic zones in India to strengthen the manufacturing base and attract greater investment to India. Now, the steps planned for restructuring are dedicated trade promotion body, digitization, trade intelligence and analytics wing, and capacity building. Now, a dedicated trade promotion body will be set up to drive the formulation and execution of the promotion strategy, digitization of trade facilitation processes. A trade intelligence and analytics wing is proposed to set up in-house analytics and dissemination capabilities. Trade watchtowers within the wing will proactively identify market risks and opportunities. Capacity building of Indian trade services to drive specializations and institutional memory. Now let's look at Amendment to Right of Way rules. Now the Department of Telecommunication has released the Indian Telegraph Right of Way Amendment Rules 2022. Now the key rules of the Indian Telegraph Right of Way Amendment Rules 2022 are that telecom licenses can enter into an agreement with private property owners and will not require any permission from government authority for installing telecom infrastructure such as towers, poles, or optic fibers. No administrative fee shall be charged by the union government for the establishment of poles on land owned and controlled by it. For state governments and union territories, these fees will be limited to 1,000 rupees per pole, and the fee for laying underground optic fiber shall be limited to 1,000 rupees per kilometer. Now, telecom licenses will be able to use street infrastructure to deploy telecom equipments at the cost of 150 rupees per annum in rural areas and 300 rupees per annum in urban areas. Now, telecom licenses shall not be required to pay compensation for land for the establishment of poles. Now, Gati Shakti Sanchar portal will be a single window for getting all the right-of-ways clearances. Now, the significance of the rule is the major challenges faced by telecom sector are access to existing infrastructure, deployment of new infrastructure, and the high cost involved in it. These rules will help in overcoming those challenges and will ensure the speedy rollout of technology. Now, India is the next SaaS capital. The Confederation of Indian Industries, that is CII, and Ernst & Young have released a study titled India, the Next Global SaaS Capital. Now, about software as a service. Software as a service is a software licensing model in which access to the software is provided on a subscription basis, with the software being located on external servers rather than on servers located in-house. Now, SaaS allows each user to access program via the internet instead of having to install the software on the user's computer. So SaaS has many business applications, including file sharing, email, calendars, human resource, and customers retention management. SaaS is easy to implement, easy to update, debug, and can be less expensive or at least have low upfront costs, since users pay for SaaS as they go, instead of purchasing multiple software licenses for multiple computers. Now, the drawbacks of adoption of SaaS centers around data security, speed of delivery, and lack of control. Observations of the study say about the Indian SaaS market is that India is poised to become the global SaaS capital over the next few years, mainly driven by small and medium businesses with focus on large enterprises. Now, the Indian SaaS market is expected to grow multifold by 2025, accounting for almost 7 to 10% of the global SaaS market from 2 to 4% at the present. Now, India now has 18 SaaS unicorns. There was only one in 2018, with the country being the third largest SaaS ecosystem globally after USA and China. Moving on to Seizure of fake notes, the National Crime Records Bureau has released a report titled Crimes in India 2021 report. Regarding fake money circulations, nearly 60% of all fake money seized in the year 2021 was of 2,000 rupees denomination. Most of the fake 2,000 notes were recovered in Tamil Nadu, followed by Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. Increase in seizure of fake money. In 2016, the government introduced the new 2,500 currency notes after the old were scrapped by them. One of the primary objectives of this was to curb the circulation of fake Indian currency note, that is FICN. However, since 2016, there has been an increase in the seizure of fake money. The steps taken by the government to curb the fake currency is to counterfeiting currency notes is an offence under IPC 1860. The production, smuggling, and circulation of high-quality fake Indian paper currency coins or other materials have been made a terrorist act under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs has constituted a terror funding and fake currency cell in the National Investigation Agency, that is NIA, to conduct a focused investigation of terror funding and fake currency cases. Now, FICN Coordination Group, that is FCORD, has been formed by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and it shares intelligence and formations among the different security agencies of the state and center to counter the problem of circulation of fake currency notes in the country. Now, training programs are also conducted to the offices of Bangladesh and Nepal police to develop their competence in areas of detection, investigation, effective persecution of cases relating to fake currency. Moving on to, we have bulk drug parks. The Department of Pharmaceuticals has granted in principle approval to proposal of 3 states, that is Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh, under the scheme of promotion of bulk drug parks. Now, the rationale for the scheme for the promotion of bulk drug parks is that the Indian pharmaceutical industry is the third largest in the world by volume and 14th largest in terms of value. Now, India contributes 3.5% of the total drugs and medicines exported globally. Despite these achievements, India is significantly dependent on the import of some of the critical basic raw materials, which are bulk drugs that are used to produce finished dosage formulations. Now, India imports bulk drug largely for economic considerations. Bulk drugs account for 63% of the total pharmaceutical imports in the country during 2018-19. Hence, to reduce these imports of bulk drugs, the scheme has been launched. Now, the objective of the scheme is to provide financial assistance to 3 states for establishing drug parks, and aims to bring down the cost of manufacturing bulk drugs by creating world-class common infrastructure facilities. Now, key features of the scheme is 3 bulk drugs parks will be supported under the scheme. Maximum grant in aid for 1 drug park will be limited to 1,000 crores under the scheme. One-time grant in aid will be provided for the creation of common infrastructure facilities in selected bulk drug parks proposed by the state government. The scheme will be implemented through a state implementing agency and a legal entity set up by the concerned state government. Now, the grant in aid will be 70% of the total cost of the project of the common infrastructure facilities. In case of northeastern states and hilly states, the grant in aid will be 90% of the common infrastructure facilities. Moving on to the status report on India's external debt, the External Debt Management Unit under the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, has released the status report on India's external debt 2021-22. Now, the key highlights from the report is that India's external debt rose by 8.2% to stand at $620.7 billion on March 31st, 2022. It was $573 billion on March 31st, 2021. Now, there is a 53.2% of the external debt was denominated in US dollars. Indian rupee dominated external debt was estimated at 31.2%. Now, long-term debt, that is maturity over 1 year period, stood at approximately $500 billion, which is 80% of the total external debt, and short-term debt was $121.7 billion, which is 19.6% of the total debt. Now, commercial borrowings, NRI deposits, short-term trade credits, and multilateral loans accounted for around 90% of the total external debt. Now, external debt as a ratio to GDP fell marginally to 19.9% in March 2022. It was 21.2% in March 2021, hovering around 20% mark. Now, foreign currency reserves as a ratio to external debt stood slightly lower at 97.8% in March 2022. It was 100.6% in March 2021. Now, sovereign external debt as of March 2022, sovereign external debt that is owed by Union government increased by 17.1% to $130.8 billion. Now, non-sovereign external debt has been estimated at around $490 billion in March 2022. Now, commercial borrowings, NRI deposits, and short-term trade credit accounted for 95% of the non-sovereign debt credits. Moving on, debt service ratio. The debt service ratio fell to 5.2% during 2021-22 from 8.2% during 2020-21 due to buoyancy in current receipts and decline in debt service payments. Now, DSR indicates the ability to pay debts from income. Now, those observations made by the report are: India's external debt continues to be sustainable and prudentially managed. From a comparative perspective, India's external debt is modest, occupying 23rd position globally. In terms of various debt vulnerabilities indicators, India's sustainability was better than low and middle income countries as a group and vis-a-vis many of them individually. Moving on to the Parliamentary Committee report on metro rail projects, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Housing and Urban Affairs has submitted a report titled Implementation of Metro Rail Projects to the Lok Sabha. Some of the key highlights from the report is that there is a low ridership. That is, most metros projects except Delhi and Mumbai Line 1 have seen low actual average daily ridership than what is required to break even. These metro projects include Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai, Lucknow, and Jaipur. The poor performance of metro projects indicate several things such as lack of first and last mile connectivity, faulty detailed project reports, absence of parking at station. Therefore, the committee has recommended for ensuring ridership estimations which determine the selection of the type of metro is realistic and accurate, taking concrete steps to increase ridership of all metro projects. Law governing metro project, as most cities are taking up metro projects, there is a need to have a comprehensive law for metro projects. Currently, metro projects are governed by 3 central acts. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has stated that it is drafting a bill to replace existing 3 acts. Now, there is Unified Metropolitan Transport Authority, State governments are required to constitute unified metropolitan transport authorities for managing urban transport. Several states such as Karnataka, Gujarat, Rajasthan have not constituted UMTAs. It recommended the ministry to encourage setting up of UMTAs in states. Now, payment of fare via single card, the National Common Mobility Card launched in May 2019 allows payment across different modes of public transport throughout India. Now, payment through a single card attracts customers towards public sector transport and increases ridership. The committee noted that NCMC's compliance system have not been installed in Kolkata, Jaipur, Lucknow, Kanpur, Chennai, and Gujarat. It recommended the ministry to take suitable steps to operationalize NCMC, sourcing of power from renewables. Metro networks such as Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Lucknow are adopting energy conservation methods. For instance, Kochi and Pune metros have planned to meet 60% of their energy requirements from solar power. The committee recommended the ministry to encourage mandatory sourcing of powers from renewable sources, especially solar, by metro networks. Moving on, India has the fifth largest economy in the world. India has gone ahead of UK to become the fifth largest economy in the world. Now, India has become the fifth largest economy during the last 3 months of 2021, pushing United Kingdom to the sixth spot. This is the second time India has beaten UK in terms of economy, with the first one being in 2019. India has now trails behind United States, China, Japan, and Germany. Now, in terms of size of the economy, a decade ago, India was ranked 11th among the world's largest economy. The Indian economy is forecast to grow more than 7% this year. If we look at the forecast of both the economies, that is India and UK, we see that it was hit by financial crisis as well as pandemic, that is cost of living shock. Moving on, we have urban employment scheme by the Rajasthan government. The government of Rajasthan has launched a Indira Gandhi urban employment scheme. It aims to provide economic support to poor and needy families living in cities through work to be provided on demand for 100 days in a year. Now, those in the group of 18 to 60 years residing within the limits of urban local bodies are eligible to demand and get employment in the identified segments. There is no income limit, though the poor and destitute people, especially those who have lost their livelihood during the pandemic, will be given preference. Now, the categories of work to be included here are: the tasks carried out under the scheme will have been clubbed in mainly 8 heads. These include environment protection, water conservation, heritage conservation, removal of encroachment, illegal hoarding, boards, banners, etc., stopping of defacement of property, and service-related works. Now, moving on to the creative economy, Exim Bank has released a study titled Reflection and Development of India's Creative Economy. The study analyzed 7 creative segments like art, audiovisual, design, etc. to map their export potential. Now, the creative economy has no single definition. It is an evolving concept which builds on the interplay between human creativity and ideas, intellectual property, knowledge, and technology. It is a knowledge-based economic activity upon which creative industries are based. Now, the creative industries include advertising, architecture, art and craft, design, fashion, films, video, photography, music, among other forms of livelihood of creative economy. Now, about the Exim Bank study on creative economy in India. India's total export of creative goods and services stood close to $121 billion in 2019, of which exports of creative services accounted for $100 billion. Now, in India, the contribution of design segment was 87.5% of the total creative goods exported in 2019, and another 9% was contributed by arts and crafts segment. Moving on, creative economy was significantly diversified, and industries such as entertainment sector give an important push to the creative economy. For example, India ranks 6th outside the US with respect to the top international box offices market by revenue. Now, recommendations to promote a creative economy in India. Now, the creative economy in India must be promoted by defining and mapping the creative industry in India, funding to finance creative industries, focusing on joint programs, addressing the issues of copyright, promoting MSMEs and local artisans, establishing creative districts and hubs, forming a specialized institution for creative industries. Moving on, we have decriminalizing offences under Indian Boilers Act of 1923. Now, the government is set to decriminalize the Indian Boilers Act of 1923. Indian Boilers Act 1923 was enacted with the objective to provide mainly for the safety of life and property of persons from danger of explosion of the steam boilers. It was also aimed at achieving uniformity in registration and inspection during the operation and maintenance of boilers in India. Now, the key proposed changes are: decriminalize the Boiler Act by removing provisions of a 2-year jail time for violation of the rules, easing the rules by extending the duration of licenses, and cutting the frequency of inspections. Now, the impact of amendments will be that is a boiler is an essential tool for a number of industries, including power plants, government factories, sugar, textile, feed, auto rice mills, and pharmaceutical industries. And these proposed changes will help improve the ease of doing business in country and reduce litigation.